Day 3, and my dilemma is, should I give up my garden? Now, as you know, my allotment is something I've been after for 4 years, and now I've got it. I'm absolutely stoked, but I've also got, before I got that, I used to grow stuff in my garden, and my worry is whether I'll be able to maintain both. And the reason for that worry is I've already started to slip behind on what I would do in my own garden, because I've had to get stuff done in my allotment plot to make sure that it doesn't get overgrown, and I don't want it to just be a mess for any period of time. I just want to get the plot, get on with it, and do as much as I can as quickly as possible. It is beginning of January, coming up to the middle of January. It's like -5 this morning. It's crazy cold, and the stuff that I'd normally be doing right about now is planting stuff like aubergines in my propagator, peppers in the ground. I'd be putting, or I would have put, my beans down by now, but because I've had to spend all my spare time at the allotment clearing stuff, sorting stuff, and putting my layer down, I haven't had a chance to do anything here. So the question is, do I just focus on the allotment, or do I try and do both? Before we get into that, I'll show you around what I normally do here. Right, what I'm going to do actually is, my allotment plot is really close, so we'll go down there in a minute and I'll show you how close it is actually. But what I would normally do in my garden, and if I had the choice, I would have had raised beds all the way across here. Bearing in mind I only started gardening 4 or 5 years ago. At one point I wanted my garden completely clear. I was going to cut down all the trees. Can't believe I'm saying that, but that's what I was going to do. And I actually cut down a cherry tree, which I'm so gutted about. But anyway, let's get into this. So what I'd normally do, along this path here, my potatoes would go. So got my pots, potatoes. For potatoes, just a few peppers, a few tomato plants would all go along here, because this is where sort of gets sunlight, which is all this is a little bit naughty, because it's a garden path, it's for other people to use, but I've got pots down here, and this is the reason I wanted the allotment, because this is the best place for them to get sun. I've only got 3 beds, like I say. I would have had more, but there's other people that need to be considered. Let's just go through everything that's in here. This is an apple tree, which thank God isn't gone. This is a plum tree, which also thank God isn't gone. I think the only thing that I will do over the next day or so is plant another plum tree, because I've worked out how you do that now. I thought you just put it in soil, put the little pip you get out of a plum in soil, but that's not true. My little strawberry, and I've got a little strawberry patch at the allotment, which I'm going to go and open up today. That's one task for the day. This is a pear tree here. Another apple tree that's kind of, it's actually 2 apple trees. So this gets two different types of apples, red apples and like a mix between red and green. And I still know if I find my stump from a cherry tree that was here. I think this is it here. Where my foot is. There was a cherry tree here that I cut down. Again, can't believe I did that. But anyway, back to where I was. Apologies for roundings. This bed I would normally at this point, or have already, planted onions in to overwinter. Still got a bit of kale that I'm still actually using. This plot would be beans, and this raised bed would be beans as well. And then I'd get to about May, and everything would be harvested out of these two, and I'd put in tomatoes, broccoli. There'd already be kale in here, and possibly sprouts. With some in here which I'll talk about a bit later. And then around the sides there'd be more tomatoes. Here would be tomatoes and peppers, and across this other side I would have cucumber running up the side of the building as well, and a few more tomatoes and anything else I felt like planting. This is where the magic all starts, of course, from a little cold frame greenhouse that I've got here. And then round the back, I would plant squash in this raised bed. And, sorry, back to where my onions would have been harvested around about May, along with my beans. I'll plant courgettes in here, and then in buckets, obviously potatoes in there. That yellow bucket, normally sweet potatoes, and then I'll have sweet potatoes in another one of these buckets, and these big buckets, potatoes, and there's my compost. So that's pretty much it. I don't know if you can appreciate, but this was all brambles. I don't know if that's the right word, or blackberries, all the way around the back of my garden. All this was brambles, all this was all brambles, all of this, literally all of this, all of the background here, all of this was, and I'll explain when I walk around, but it basically grown along from all of my neighbours. So you can see, but there's a shed over there, and then see at the back it's all overgrown. Comes across the back of his garden, into the back of the garden next door, and then these are my neighbours, and you can still see they've got, you can see that, and that just grew down here, right across the back, and then down the sides, and then there was a part, actually this area here, I kind of inherited. I was talking about brambles. This, I didn't actually have a fence, believe it or not, back garden, but and it was just brambles and bushes, and there was a couple of trees here. You can see the stumps. It's big old, there's about 30-foot trees, both of these. See one stump here, and they actually belong to the council, and the council decided they would cut them down without letting anybody know, which meant there was a big, I don't know if you can imagine, 2 evergreen trees here. It just meant there was a big hole in the back of my little bramble bush, or whatever, blackberry bush, with a big hole where these 2 trees were, and unfortunately my garden leads onto a park, which actually was a bit of a dump, and the council, when they were cleaning it up, as part of that clean up, they planted a few nice trees and bushes and shrubs and the rest of it, and they got rid of these 2 trees that I thought were mine, but apparently they belong to the council, or maybe they didn't, I don't know. And they just cut them down. I just came home one day and there was a fucking big gap in my fence that everyone and anyone could walk through. So I had to put a fence up sharpish, and then I decided, because this space where my raised bed is, you couldn't really see it. This was all bushes, like I say. Decided when the trees went, I put another raised bed in here. Right across the back and then down the sides, and then there was a hard stop because there's a building here. So they didn't grow into my next door neighbour's garden, so all amassed here, and I cleared that, and it's the most difficult thing in the world. You'll know if you've got some, to continuously cut them back. As much as I like blackberries and raspberries, there's a field that'll have to go to the tip at some point. It's such a pain to keep cutting that back. So these are the jobs that keep me busy in this garden, and this is why at one point I was going to clear everything. I was literally just going to have grass in my back garden, cut all the trees down, travesty I know, and just have grass, and then I've got the bug to start growing food. So my dilemma is, as much as that doesn't sound like it's enough to keep you busy, it really is. That really is my whole, it does take up all of my time quite easily. To be fair, there's always something to do out here, but now I've got a big allotment plot. Can I maintain both of them? I'll take you over to the allotment now, show you how close it is, and then I'll let you know what I've decided to do. And there we have it, just like that, we are at the plot. So this has stayed in place fairly well, fortunately. My only jobs for today, I'm going to cut around where my strawberries are. Hopefully they survived. I didn't have skizzers on me last time. I'm going to get the lids for my little compost Daleks, because they're not much use without lids in my mind. And what I was supposed to do is just in that corner there is where my shed was going to go. But it's a 6 foot by 4 foot shed, which is fine in the direction of the pallet, but the 6 foot, it needs to come over here, which unfortunately is some sort of structure, which was actually quite a good structure, but I've got to put my shed somewhere. But I'll use the other side, so like a potting table. I'm going to have to cut that out so that the shed can fit in, and then I will just use this side as my little potting table, unfortunately, but I only need one side. But it's so cold that I don't think I'm going to do that today, so I'm going to go home, get the propagator out and start planting my peppers and aubergines and stuff. I think that's me. Okay, so what I've decided to do is, yes, maintain both, but just be a bit selective about what I plant where. The things that need constant maintenance, in other words, stuff that I can come out and have a look at before work and come and have a quick look at after work and deal with any issues that arise, and I'm talking about pests really, I'm going to plant here. So that is the likes of tomatoes, because of blight, which it can infest quite quickly, and also it's something that is very difficult to control once it starts. So it might mean ripping out a load of plants at some point. I'd rather be doing that here. So tomatoes here, the things that I've had the most aggro with in terms of caterpillars is the likes of broccoli and the likes of kale and cabbage and lettuce. Caterpillars and slugs have, if I could explain how quickly they have demolished some of my plants. So I might come out before work and think, load of caterpillars there, needs dealing with. I'll deal with that after work. And I come back after work, and the amount of damage they've done in 8 hours is unreal. So those types of things I think I will plant here, along with probably potatoes, because a couple of years ago I had the craziest slug infestation, whereby honestly I'd have potatoes in a bucket and there would be 30 slugs on a bucket easily. And I even started going for my tomato plants, which I'd never seen before, a couple of years ago. But there was so many that they'd eaten enough of what they wanted. They normally go for kale and stuff like that, right? Because that's just must be the tastiest thing for them. But they absolutely devoured stuff. So potatoes, I'm going to do here, and I'm going to do the stuff that I've had the most success with at the allotment. So I'll need to add to this list, but at the moment it's only got cucumber, courgettes, and butternut squash and pumpkins. I've had the most success with those, and I've had to do the least to them. So that's what I'm going to grow at the allotment, and the stuff that I think I might have to deal with quickly, because I have a lot of time on weekends, but I don't even know if I'll be able to get there during the week for any extended period. In other words, it'll be home from work. If it's early enough, I can pop over there until it's dark. Basically, it's daylight is the key factor. So I keep looking over there because there's a cat over there, and they poo on my bed. That was the one thing in January when I plant my beans. I have to do it in a day, because if I dig up my bed and ready it on a Sunday and wait for the next Sunday to plant the beans, I'd have to navigate mountains of it. So I'd always dig it up and plant the beans in a day. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep both, and it's all trial and error. To be fair, it just got to a point where I knew, like I know now, every year what I was going to do in my garden, what I was going to plant, what I'd plant in the winter, what seeds I'd plant early, aubergines and peppers and stuff like that. I had a bit of a routine, and it's all gone out the window basically now, because I haven't planted a thing. I might do today, because my shed for the allotment has turned up, and I was planning to put it together today, but it's so cold that I won't be able to feel my fingers. So I don't think I'll be able to do that. So I might actually spend the time dusting off the propagator and planting all of the seeds that have a long growing season. And I do give a shout out. I forgot his name. I think it's Michael. But I was watching his channel the other day, and he was talking about fixing his greenhouses, and I was thinking about whether I'd get glass or plastic, and he was fixing panes of glass, and it was freezing, and he was talking about how he used to wear shorts in this weather. I'm sure he's from up north. They're a bit harder than us up there, aren't they? But yeah, I won't be able to feel my fingers putting that together today, so I will leave that for another day.